Hi, welcome to Ray at the Movies, and today I'm going to do my 4K release and review. Also, it's on Blu-ray, by the way, of Leviathan, one of my favorite movies that came out in 1989, as well as with Deep Star 6, The Rift, aka Endless Descent. Also, leave the cover alone. It's my son. Say hi.
Hi.
He wanted to be in the video at some point. So, you might wonder, you said 4K and it says Blu-ray. Well, for some reason, Kino Lorber sent this to Diabolic DVD as this, and then they gave them this. So this is the same cover, nothing different except it says 4K, Ultra 4K Blu-ray. And they do a good job. If you have Leviathan from Scream Factory, this is a step up because it looks fantastic in 4K. I've really been a big fan of this movie. Fangoria magazine, I have that issue where they cover the movie, and that grabbed my attention. And then of course the box art grabbed my attention. So fantastic is this box art. And of course the alternate cover that you can get is the other poster. And this was a little bit delayed because when I ordered from Diabolic DVD, if you don't know, whatever movie you pre-order, whatever orders you have with a pre-order, until that movie comes out on pre-order, you don't get those other movies. Well, when Hardware Wars was being released, it was supposed to come out the same time as Leviathan, but there was a delay with MVD. They added more bonus features and more stuff in there that they found, so that's a good and worthwhile delay. So it just took a little bit for me to get this because they're supposed to come out the same time. So I own this movie on Blu-ray and DVD, and it was so nice when I finally got it on Blu-ray from Scream Factory that it was in widescreen, because I've always watched it in full screen. Even the DVD, I believe, was full screen. I might be mistaken. I don't have the DVD anymore. I gave it away. But this is one of my favorite movies, a movie that I go back to all the time, and one of my favorites. So, I do like Deep Star 6, but if you ask me which one I feel is a better film out of the two, Leviathan. I like it because it's like someone said, the thing in water, underwater. And also someone said in the auto commentary, this is like a H.P. Lovecraftian creature. I don't see that, but that's what was said in auto commentary. So let's get with who's in the movie. The movie was released, by the way, March 17th, 1989, if I didn't say. It stars Peter Weller of unknown origin, RoboCop 1 and 2, which is where I know him from. Screamers, Rainbow Drive. They need to release that on Blu-ray. You hear me? Kino Lorber, Scream Factory, Shout Factory, sorry. Arrow Video, please release that. It was a good TV movie on Showtime. Richard Crenna from First Blood, Rambo 2. And then he was also in Rambo 3. Death Ship, Hot Shots Part Duke, The Evil. Amanda Page, you might know from the movie Kindred. The Kindred, the Flash TV series, Max Headroom, TV movie and TV show Oxford Blues. You have Daniel Stern, who you might know from Home Alone 1 and 2, which is where I know him from, as well as City Slickers 1 and 2. Those are good movies. He was also in Blue Thunder, which was later turned into a TV show, by the way. Chud and DOA. Ernie Hudson from Ghostbusters 1 through 4, which is how I know him, and The Crow. I am going to do my 4K review on that. I'm working on that. The Hand That Rocks the Cradle, No Escape. Michael Carmine, who passed away sadly shortly after this released. I don't even know he lived to see it released. He was in Invasion USA, which I do have on Blu-ray. Batteries Not Included, Band of the Hand, Longtime Companion. Then we have Lisa L. Botcher from 10 to Midnight, Beverly Hills Cop, which is where I know her from. Never Say Die, Live Wire, which I hope they give that a Blu-ray release, because that has Pierce Bronson in it. It's fantastic. I don't care about the second one. There was a second one, but I don't really care if that gets released. It was okay. And I don't even think it stars him. Hector Alonso from Pretty Woman, RoboCop 3, Dear God, The Princess Diaries 1 and 2. Meg Foster from Blind Fury, Masters of the Universe, They Live, Relentless 1 and 2. Those need to get, all four of those movies need to get a release. So I predict maybe MVD, not MVD. I think Vestron will release that one, or should I say Lionsgate? They who owns I guess owns the company now. Then they have director George P. Cosmos, who's from directed of unknown origin, Cobra, Rambo, First Blood Part 2, and Tombstone, a great Western movie, by the way. Starred by David Webb Peoples, who did Fatal Sky and Hero. Screenplay by David Webb Peoples. Blade Runner, Hero, 12 Monkeys, Lady Hawk. All great movies, by the way. Screenplay by Jab Stewart, Die Hard, Another 48 Hours, The Fugitive, Just Cause. All good movie, but Another 48 Hours is an okay one. Special effects done by Stan Winston Studios, who did Aliens, The Terminator 1 through 3, Gargoyles, John Carpenter's The Thing. I won't go into the segment. You can watch it on Who Goes There, The Making of the Thing. I actually don't think that's the name of it, but it's on the Blu-ray release of from Scream Factory. All right, let's do the trivia. Oh, I'm sorry. Got the music by Jerry Goldsmith, which is fantastic. So is the score for Deep Star 6 and The Abyss. He's known for The Omen 1 through 3, Alien, Poltergeist 1 and 2, Explorers. I think he also did, if I'm not mistaken, the score for Aliens 2 as well. Okay, we have the trivia. The experience was an adventure and joy for Stan Winston and his monster-making team. Not only did they get to live in Rome for 4 months during filming, and even learn scuba diving, a recreational activity many of them continue to pursue to this day, but they also got to work with a director who was unusually generous with inviting their input. In addition to producing the creature effects, Cosmatos trusted Winston to direct the second unit action sequences. George Cosmatos always let us take the lead in how to shoot the creature, noted Landon. He was such a big-hearted person. He would throw up his hands and say, "I don't know what I'm doing." He'd just admit it and let us do what we knew to do, how to do it, or how to do. We know that our characters can do, and we know the best way to use them. We're thinking about what our characters are going to have to do on the set the entire time we're building them. So we are gold mines of information and knowledge. Some directors recognize that and rely on us. The movie is set in the year 2027, which I did not know, by the way. Deep Star 6 was the first release of several underwater monster-themed feature films released during 1989-1990, including The Abyss, Leviathan, The Evil Below, and Lords of the Deep, and The Rift, aka The Endless Descent. With exception of The Abyss, none of these films were box office hits. Okay. The creature effects team encountered some language differences during the making of Aliens in England, but the challenges were much bigger in Italy. I always keep a log of everything we order on shows just in case accountant comes back later and asks about it, noted lead creature effects mechanic and on-set technician Richard Landon. In some real language issues, because of a lot of the times, instead of words, I drew pictures of nuts and bolts or that kind of thing. I would quite often have to draw a picture just to make it clear what I was talking about. There were cultural differences too, such as the Italian crew tendency to drink large amounts of red wine at lunch. They say, here, have some wine, remembered Mahan. And we'd say, oh, thanks, but we're not allowed to drink while we're working. Of course, every once in a while, we'd sneak a little, but nothing like the way those guys were drinking it down. When Doc is analyzing six-pack skin sample, the computer reports back the phrase of unknown origin. This is a wink and nod to director George P. Cosmos, star Peter Wellers, having previously collaborated on the movie of unknown origin. Once during the underwater photography, John Rosengrant and other members of the SWS on-set crew were underwater for so long and at such depth they were unaware of a violent storm that had come in, threatened to rip the topside boat from its anchor and smash it against nearby rocks. We had no idea all of this was going on until we came to the surface and saw all the commotion, recalled Rosengrant. We all go out of the water and help to push the boat away from the rocks and hold it steady in this storm. In designing the creature of the film, Stan Winston and George P. Cosmos went through a mini library of marine life pictures and medical references books. They were inspired by the psychology of the natural world and came up with the idea of combining human parts and elements of deep-sea marine life and unnatural creature never seen on film before. There is a few scenes in the film where I actually shot underwater as production went for the dry for wet look, with most of the scenes inside the shack taking place on sound stages in a tank measuring 130 feet times 270 feet. In addition to the amazing creature effects, Stan Winston Studios also built the deep dive suits, designed by conceptual artist Stephen Berg. The studio made a diving suit for each of the lead actors, Peter Weller, Amanda Pays, Ernie Hudson, and Daniel Stern. We were commissioned to build the old-style mechanical underwater dive suits that the crew wears to explore the sunken ship, said Mahan. We made one custom suit that could be retrofit to every actor. The suits were white fiberglass shells with joints. They weren't as light as the actors probably would have liked, but they were as light as we could make them considering how big and bulky they were. They had bellows at the bottom of the feet, so when the character stepped down, they would squirt air to make the dust on the ground poof out. Shot at 48 frames per second, it looked like it was slow motion and underwater. Scenes that could not be filmed dry for wet at the sound stages of Centennia, I might be butchering that one, were shot either in big water tanks or at sea in Malta. Stan Winston had his main creature effects team trained and certified as scuba divers prior to filming in order to support the required water scenes in the movie and to ensure their safety and proficiency in the water. Tom Woodruff Jr. would be in the suit underwater and the rest of us would act as safety divers so we could get Tom out of the suit quickly if something happened, noted John Rosengrant. According to the sleeve notes on the DVD, a dry for wet test by Alex Thompson used an old armory tank for the wreck of the Leviathan, and some makeshift diving suits were made using padded football suits and helmets from 2010. The final suits in the film were designed by Steve Berg and built by Stan Winston crew. Leviathan was kind of the thing underwater, said Mahan, who worked as lead creature effects artist and SWS on the set technician. The deep sea mining crew members began to mutate and kill one another, and each body is absorbed into a commemoration creature that has 3 or 4 different bodies combined with all these sea creature elements. One of 6 underwater-themed science fiction monster movies released around 1989-1990. Others include The Abyss, Leviathan, Deep Star 6, The Evil Below, The Rift, and Lords of the Deep. All of those are good except for the Lords of the Deep. I didn't like that movie. It is, I think, from Roger Corman. Not all his movies were good. Rest in peace, Roger Corman. After building the creature in dive suits, a small Stan Winston studio team followed the production to Italy for 4 months of filming at Cinecittà Studios in Rome, the famous studio where director Ferdinando Ficini made films like La Dolce Vita and Casanova. Was especially meaningful for Mahan, a longtime Finelli fan. The whole time we were in Santana, remembered Mahan, I'd be out in their junkyard in the back looking for old Fatini props. All these massive props from Finelli films were just laying around, giant elephants carved out of foam, which I think were from Inversta. We had a blast going through those old props in Santana. At Santana. The Leviathan design, Stan Winston essentially blends fish-like creatures with humanoid elements. We did a lot of alchemical research. Every creature effect starts from realistic elements. Otherwise, it doesn't look right. But we're using marine life and human anatomy in a way that you wouldn't expect. After, oh man, hold on. Second time that Richard Crenna worked with George P. Cosmos after Rambo First Blood Part 2, which also had Jerry Goldsmith music. Hector Alonso and Lisa Epsher have appeared in Beverly Hills Cop series. It's how it's written. You know that they were in the films, because Hector is in Beverly Hills Cop 3 and she is in the first one. Okay, there are many moments in the film when musical scoring is reminiscent of Alien. Jerry Goldsmith scored both Alien and Leviathan. Leviathan was released around the same time as other similarly themed underwater science fiction and horror films, including The Abyss and Deep Star 6, both in 1989, and received generally negative reviews from critics who cite numerous similarities to films such as Alien and The Thing. Now, here's slight spoilers. 50 to 60 spec drawings of the potential look for the creature were submitted to director George P. Cosmos. All the drawings were combined for the final definite look for Leviathan, which was a huge fish-headed beast with dagger-like teeth with the ability to absorb and recognize charismatics from its victims. The script went through several rewrites, with the final revision being quite close to the actual film. One of the major differences between the revision and the film was the gender of Martin's character. In all versions of the script, Martin was a man. When Martin's character became female with casting of Meg Foster, several lines of the character's dialogue were altered to make them appear less taunting to Beck, and more in keeping with Martin's seamlessly caring but actually manipulative and deceitful Karen, but actually manipulative. Okay. Cosmos kept the very final scene in which Beck hit Martin in the jaw. Okay, here's the storyline. Ready? Underwater deep-sea miners encounter a Soviet wreck and bring back a dangerous cargo to their base on the ocean floor with horrifying results. The crew of the mining base must fight to survive against a genetic mutation that hunts them down one by one. Description: plunge into the go for the juggler sci-fi thriller starring Peter Weller, RoboCop, and Richard Crenna, First Blood, and featuring non-stop action, nerve-shattering suspense, and awesome creatures by special effects legend Stan Winston aliens on the dark and forbidden ocean floor. The crew of a deep-sea mining rig discovers a sunken freighter that harbors a deadly secret, a genetic experiment gone horribly wrong. With a storm raging on the surface and no hope of rescue, the Captain Weller and his team are propelled into a spine-tingling battle for survival against the ultimate foe, a hideous monster that cannot die and lives to kill. Directed by George P. Cosmos, Tombstone, from a script by David Webb Peoples, Blade Runner, and Jab Stewart, Die Hard. Leviathan is a gripping and imaginative thrill ride that will leave you gasping for air and clawing for the surface. Featuring Amanda Page, Daniel Stern, Ernie Hudson, Michael Carmine, Lisa Albsher, Hector Alonso, Meg Foster, and music by Jerry Goldsmith, Alien. Special features: brand new HDR Dolby Vision Master from a 4K scan of the 35-inch positive. Whew, that's a handful. The new auto commentary by film historian Steve Mitchell and Nathaniel Thompson. Triple layered UHD 100 disc, 5.1 surround and lossless 2-point audio optional English subtitles. Disc 2 is the same thing, except it has the making a Leviathan Monster Melting Pot featurette, which is 40 minutes and 26 seconds. Dissecting Cobb, interview with Hector Alonso, which is 12 minutes and 35 seconds. Surviving Leviathan, interview with actor Ernie Hudson, which is 15.1 minutes. Theatrical trailer. This movie was released by Screen Factory originally on August 19, 2014, then went out print. It has now been released by Kino Lorber on 4K Blu-ray on February 20, 2024. I'm sorry, there's a lot to digest for this, which is why it took so long. I highly recommend you pick this up because this is a very good transfer. They did a very good job. And yes, I wish they had more bonus features like some of the scenes they didn't use for the film. But it's a very fascinating and very interesting movie. And I really highly recommend it. I give this movie 5 stars. I know I give some movies 5 stars, but I really like this movie. This movie is not boring. It keeps your attention from beginning to end. And the cast does a fantastic and phenomenal job in their acting abilities. They do really good. So I highly recommend, if you haven't picked this up, to please pick it up. You won't regret it. Alright, with that, I'm out of here. Have a great rest of your day. I'm out. Bye.